So you ended up saying, all right, I'm going to just pack my bags and move. So that process is kind of overlooked a lot of times. Again, you're 18. You're like, I definitely don't want to do the military. I understand that it's for some and not for you. So you just up and moved. Where did you stay? How did you start making money? How did you get established? Were these guys already kind of making enough money to where you kind of integrate?
No, they were broke when I got there. In fact, Dre was living with his aunt. He said, I don't have a place to stay for you. I said, don't worry about that. I believed in myself. I believed in my skill set. Mm-hmm. And I believed in Dre. I knew it was something special about that guy.
Yeah.
But one of the guys that I knew from here says, my brother lives in Compton. He's taking care of his brother who is an invalid, so that the government pays for the house. And, he just stays there and takes care. You can sleep on the couch. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
And so I went there, and it took about maybe 3 or 4 days. We went to the studio, and that first day we made a song called We Want Eazy. That song in about a week time was the #1 song on radio in the state of California. And so I don't know how the money came, but it came right after that. And it gave Dre enough money to get his own place. And I moved in with Dre and slept on his floor, and we started making records.
And was the N.W.A outfit already set up by then, and they had everything spotted out?
Or all the guys were there, but they hadn't legally come together. The majority of the songs that we made were new songs, so they hadn't found themselves yet.
Right.
But they had already took the pictures of their group,
Without you.
I wasn't there yet.
Yeah, right. So I mean, it just sort of established themselves, but weren't a big deal yet.
Yeah, they hadn't found the key. The key came from Texas.
Damn right.
But when I got there, it really clicked. And in between Ice Cube, myself, and Ren, we sort of honed each other's skill sets in ways that made us all better during that time period. And Dre is who he is and was becoming who he would be becoming. Mm-hmm. So it's just a moment in time.
Yeah. And when you referenced the rap battles and stuff when you were coming up, you were saying they were relentless, right? They were hardcore. You really had to win. Everybody's doing whatever they can to win. Mm-hmm. How do you think that manifest in the way that your writing was integrated into the group? Do you think anybody was protective of their own kind of identity with some of the writing? That, in other words, if you were contributing to writing Eazy's lyrics, for instance, you think it was, because you're still just kids, was it him being protective and trying not to allow someone to know that perhaps you wrote these lyrics?
I'm sure there was some of that.
Yeah, just a natural jealousy or something.
I don't know if it's jealousy. I think Eazy is just very astute in business, and he was clear about money, where we were young artists trying to be great at art, or at least I was.
Yeah.
But the writers, we were all, we were in competition. Everybody wanted to be the one, I just wanted to be the one worse than everybody else did. And we went back and forth. Like I said, we sharpened each other's swords, and through that process, we all got really good.
So who was the actual decision maker then? Because I know you've talked about times where you had a track, and then a couple of guys would come up and spit, and then you'd figure out kind of who's worked the best.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a morph of different lyrics. It was, whoever's.
Yeah, whoever wins.
So how do you know who wins, or was it that obvious?
Yeah, it's obvious.
Okay.
It's obvious when a verse comes out, that's the one. And usually it's everybody wins because the song is great. And when you're talking about three people rapping, Cube, myself, and Rand, those verses all came from. And so I'm easy most of the time. And so now we're battling to see who's the best out of the three. So everybody wins because you're going to get the best you can get from everybody involved.
Right. Everybody's trying to up their game just to be in the room. And then you co-wrote a lot of the bigger hits that they had, and part of your approach was different too. When can you elaborate a little bit on the gangster rap approach, and then what you kind of brought to the table to make it a little more commercial?
Sure. When they first started making records, their claim to fame was that they were cursing, and you would call these records blue because it was not meant for commercial success. It was meant for, they just wanted to be the great. They wanted to be successful in their neighborhood.
Kind of the underground hit.
You know?
Yeah.
But in order to be commercially successful, you have to have the radio. You can't be a huge success without the system on some level. And so I knew my approach was that in order to make these records that could cross over, they have to be entertaining, more entertaining than negative. That they could still be hard and not soft, commercial pop records, but they still could be worded properly so that you didn't make people afraid of you. You can make them laugh at you or laugh with you, and that's what I did with Eazy. Eazy, it was really easy, no pun intended, because he was super short and he talked more noise than everybody else. And he got all the girls and so it made it easy to turn him into a caricature of that gangster image. It's like going to the beach, and there's always the guy drawing your picture. And then if you had an AK and he draws your picture, it'd be you with this overinflated gun, and your head would be huge, and no one would be offended by that picture because it would be funny.
The caricature type. Yeah. And was that your approach when you wrote his lyrics?
That was.
And how do you think you got left off so many of these things? Because you contributed to even, the F the Police, and you were involved in that one too, right? So even some of the harder, more popular in retrospect, how do you think that actually ended up happening? Because there wasn't necessarily a leader within the group necessarily. You say it was kind of a popular decision, which is most bands or whatever, but how'd that happen?
I'm from Texas, and them boys is all from California, and they were already a set group, and if I'm being honest, I used to talk a lot of Cash Money to those boys. I don't think they liked it very much, but it was true. So what could they say, And so I just think that they had their group, their set people that they would let in, and this is our guy, and I was their guy. I just wasn't one of those guys, And it bothered me, really, to be honest. Which is where my name came from. That's where D.O.C. actually came from. I felt like I always felt like they were trying to ease me out of the frame.
Right.
Like when we were making records, we're all together in this studio and we're happy. But when the records come out and they're taking pictures, they ask me to move to the side. Or, when We Want Eazy, the video came, They wouldn't let me be in the videos. It was tough from that perspective. So I put the periods in my name and made it an acronym because they had periods in their name.
Like the N.W.A.
So I figured this is a way I could connect myself to this group. So when people see me, they'll know that's me too.
Man, it took a while for people to recognize this, though, right? I mean, it seems like some of it is the immaturity. Again, it's kind of what I'm getting back to, where they're kind of being protective. Also, everybody's sort of fighting for themselves because you don't have a proper manager at the time. It's really telling you how the business goes. You got somebody else that's on the take. So it just can you describe like how you would respond to somebody saying, "Hey, man, scoot out of the frame"? That just seems like that would be the time when you would say, I need to figure out what the hell's going on here.
No, it was fuel. It was fuel. That's why my record was so good.
Yeah.
It would piss me off, and I would be like, okay, you think you got, just wait a minute. Because in my mind, I was better than all of them.
Yeah.
And in a minute, I'm going to show you boys what it's really supposed to be like.